You didn't end up here by chance. That pull you feel, the one nudging you to keep searching for answers, is worth trusting. Nothing about this moment is a mix-up or a stroke of luck. Somewhere deep inside, you've been staring off toward the horizon for a while now. Could be days, could be weeks or months. You've been waiting quietly for some kind of sign, something that would finally settle the noise in your chest. And you've been carrying this alone, haven't you? Keeping it tucked away from everyone around you because you worried they'd never really understand. You went quiet about it so nobody could tell you that you were imagining things, reading too much into it, or chasing something that isn't even real. But here's the thing. That soft, persistent voice inside you has always spoken louder than anything anyone else could tell you. It's been there in the early morning hours, and it's been there late at night, sitting with you in every still, quiet moment. It kept murmuring even when you tried to tune it out. It kept tugging at your attention, even on the days you buried yourself in distractions to avoid it. You didn't invent this feeling. It's real, and it's been trying to surface for a long time. So consider this for a second. What if that feeling that just won't quit isn't some weight you're stuck carrying, but actually a clear message coming straight from your own soul, simply confirming what's already true? What if it refuses to fade, not because you're wishing too hard or hoping too much, but because it's coming from a part of you that has understood this all along, long before your conscious mind ever caught up? Right now, something wiser than your everyday thinking wants to give you a gentle, honest nod towards something you've sensed for a while, but were scared to fully own. Out of fear, out of caution, out of old wounds that never quite healed. You talked yourself into staying quiet. You convinced yourself that what you were feeling was too much, too sudden, too intense to actually be true. And still, no matter how hard you tried to bury it, that truth kept resurfacing. It won't let you look away, because you need to hear this in order to move forward. What's coming next will help you understand why your soul reacts so strongly to this particular person. Why this connection feels like nothing else you've experienced. Why it stays strong no matter the distance between you. Why the silence in between doesn't feel hollow. It feels full, like it's carrying something meaningful. Why your intuition, the part of you that has never really steered you wrong, won't let this go, even when your logical brain keeps trying to argue you out of it. There's a reason you can't shake this. There's a reason your heart reacts before your thoughts even catch up. Pay attention, because what follows will show you why this love that shakes you so deeply carries a weight far bigger than you've allowed yourself to believe. This wasn't some random encounter. This isn't coincidence dressed up as fate. What you're experiencing is a recognition that happens on a soul level, a kind of resonance that goes past the physical, past the mental. It reaches into the threads that make up your path. It's an echo of something your soul already remembers, something your conscious mind simply hasn't found the language for yet. You've tried to interrupt it, tried to distract yourself from it, tried to shut it down completely. You've tried reasoning your way out of it, explaining it away with logic. But every single attempt has only made it grow louder. Because whatever rises from the soul cannot be quieted by the mind alone. There's something, some force you can't quite put into words, that keeps pulling you back to the exact same realization. This person did not walk into your life by accident. That's the center of everything being shared with you right now. You need to know you're not losing your grip on reality. You're not confused, and you're definitely not making this up. What you're feeling is coming from somewhere deep, from the same place a higher power uses to reach you. Once you stop listening only with your ears and start listening with your soul, you'll see clearly that this isn't your desire dreaming things up. This is simply the truth of who you are. But then comes the harder question, the one your mind keeps circling back to. How do you actually tell the difference between genuine love and plain old longing? Am I really connected to this person, or am I just stuck in attachment, in some unmet emotional need. Your mind, shaped by past pain and the fear of getting hurt all over again, will always try to brand your feelings as reckless or unsafe. It's not trying to sabotage you, it's just trying to protect you in the only way it knows, through doubt, through hesitation, through fear. But a genuine soul connection carries markers that simply can't be faked. Markers that don't stem from lack or emptiness, but rise up from the most authentic part of you. The first one is a sense of calm, a stillness that settles in. When you're truly bonded to your soul's path through someone else, you feel an unusual peace even when they're nowhere near you. There's no panic, no sense of being left behind. Instead, there's a quiet certainty, a deep steadiness that comes purely from recognition. The deepest layer of who you are already knows that this energy is safe, that whatever exists between the two of you can't be broken by silence or distance. That connection was never actually at risk. This steadiness is your intuition reminding you that whatever is meant for you will remain. Does this happen with just anyone? Not at all. You already know that. And that's precisely what makes this bond feel so completely different from anything you felt before. That calm doesn't come from anything they've said or done. It comes from something your soul already understands on its own. The second sign is a kind of awakening, a reawakening of who you really are. This person has stirred something inside you that had been sitting dormant, parts of yourself you didn't even realize existed. Pieces that were simply asleep, waiting for the right kind of energy to shake them loose. This bond functions like a mirror, like a spark, like a key turning in a lock. It pushes you to expand, to see your own depth, to confront yourself in ways you've never quite done before. You feel pulled toward growing into someone better, and not to impress them or win them over, but because this connection illuminates what's already inside you, waiting to be reached. This resonance stirs something old, a quiet recognition urging you to open up, to stretch, to evolve. What you're feeling isn't some romantic fantasy. It's the energetic imprint of a shared purpose that ties the two of you together in this lifetime. The third sign is how the intensity of it defies explanation. It surprises you with its strength. It confuses you with how long it lasts. You've tried to rationalize it, to minimize it, to push it aside, to bury it deep, and still, it refuses to leave. It doesn't fade. It doesn't dissolve. It doesn't wear down under logic or distraction, the way ordinary attachment eventually does. Plain dependency loses its grip with time. The fear of being alone softens once someone else shows up. But this feeling holds steady, even when everything around you seems to argue against it. That steadiness is your soul refusing to close a chapter that hasn't finished writing itself yet. What you're feeling is genuine. You didn't dream it up or manufacture it. This connection was permitted by something greater than you. And nothing born from destiny shows up in your life just to wreck it. It shows up to transform you. And that transformation has only just begun. If all of this is true, then why has there been distance? Why has quiet settled into a space that once felt so alive? Why has separation shown up inside something that felt so destined, so undeniable, so aligned? These are the questions that have weighed on you, and the answers have always felt just out of grasp. But understand this: what destiny plants in your heart can't be uprooted. Not by time, not by silence, not by fear, not even by distance. Whatever is meant to happen will eventually find its way through. Even when the road looks completely blocked, no matter how wide the gap grows, or how deep the silence sits, or how hard either of you tries to move on, some connections simply cannot be broken. There are bonds the ego keeps trying to end, but the soul keeps refusing. And there are connections that pause, not because they're over, but because both people need time to heal, to grow, and to become capable of carrying the kind of love that's meant for them. This person occupies a real place in your story. And not just because you want them to, or feel strongly about them. It's because something bigger than you, some plan quietly unfolding beneath the surface of your everyday life, has already decided this connection matters. It exists to open you up to love, to grow both of your souls, and to trigger an awakening that has to happen exactly when it's supposed to. None of this was random. None of the feelings that rose in you happened by chance. Even if your mind tries to convince you otherwise, even if it insists this was just an illusion or a closed chapter, your soul knows better. Somewhere deep down, you know you can't close this book. Simple reason, it isn't finished. It isn't complete. It isn't done. What you're living through right now isn't an ending. It's a pause, a quiet stretch of preparation, a shift happening behind the scenes. The confusion, the ache, the gentle distance, none of it signals collapse. It signals construction. Both of you needed room to mature, to heal, and to shed old patterns that would have damaged this bond if nothing had changed. The universe doesn't pair up two unfinished souls in something this powerful. It waits for complete readiness. And sometimes, separation is exactly the tool destiny uses to build that clarity, strength, and alignment. You've grown. So has the other person. What feels like an impossible distance is, from a higher vantage point, simply space for expansion. A higher awareness doesn't view the present the way your human mind does. It already sees the whole road ahead, the destination, the moment of reunion where both of you stand fully awake, fully clear, ready to welcome each other without fear, without doubt, without hesitation. What you can't see yet, the universe has already watched unfold. And it's speaking to you now, so you don't make the mistake of walking away from something real, of confusing truth with illusion, of releasing a connection your soul was guided toward for reasons that go far beyond romance. This bond isn't punishment. It isn't a trick. It isn't here to hurt you. It exists to stretch you, teach you, refine you, and change you. Real love doesn't fade. Genuine soul recognition doesn't vanish. It grows. The universe wouldn't leave you stuck in confusion without a reason behind it. Confusion isn't proof you're on the wrong track. It's actually the early stage of waking up. It's the friction that happens between your logical mind and your intuition, between what scares you and what you already know deep down to be true. And if you want to understand how destiny is setting up the reunion, you first have to understand why this stretch of quiet, this distance, this pulling away, exists at all. This isn't absence, this is alignment. This is the universe rearranging the pieces, healing old wounds, clearing out karmic residue, and getting both of you ready to actually hold the connection your souls were woven together for. Picture two people who are meant for each other meeting before either one is ready. Picture the sheer flood of emotion, energy, and intensity pouring out before either person has learned how to carry the weight of their own inner darkness. That meeting would be chaotic, messy, unstable. Instead of becoming a source of healing, the bond would turn into a battlefield between two sets of unresolved wounds. A higher power doesn't allow something this sacred to destroy itself. That's exactly why the pause exists. It's a protective force, a buffer, a reset button, an act of love happening in advance. The universe didn't step in to end this connection. It stepped in to protect it until both of you could return to it from a place of genuine growth instead of fear, survival, or insecurity. This stretch of time that feels like being abandoned or pushed away is, in truth, a conscious withdrawal, a kind of inner retreat, a clearing away of illusions. It's a season where both of you walk separate paths, not to forget one another, but to refine yourselves individually. It's something your souls agreed to long before your human minds ever crossed paths. We will step back until we've healed enough to carry the weight of this connection without breaking under it. This pause exists so both of you can release karmic attachments, childhood wounds, unconscious patterns, and the walls you've built that would otherwise block love from moving freely through you. This isn't punishment, it's preparation. It's an invitation to build a solid relationship with yourself first. Because if you depended on this person to feel complete, the connection would eventually curdle into fear, into clinging, into pressure, into something that feels more like a cage than love. Destiny doesn't want you trapped. It wants you free. It wants you strong. Distance is the training ground. It forces you to face what scares you, the fear of being left, the fear of loneliness, the fear of not being enough. As long as those fears live inside you, you'll keep attracting situations that mirror your wounds instead of your truth. This pause exists to break that cycle. It's designed to drag your inner shadows into the light, not to punish you, but to finally set you free. The universe is quietly telling you, fill yourself up first. Find your own wholeness from the inside out. Only then can this love return in its highest, healthiest form. And the moment you start moving toward that wholeness, the energy between you shifts. It gets stronger, clearer, more aligned. Because destiny isn't asking you to sit and wait. It's asking you to grow. You're not standing still, you're being shaped. And as this inner foundation starts forming within you, as your wounds meet their own light, as your strength grows into a clearer, steadier version of yourself, there's something crucial you need to understand. This work isn't only happening on your end. Even if you can't see it, even if you can't feel it, even if the silence from their side feels like a void, that same universal energy shaping you is shaping them too. Their journey mirrors yours, not in the details but in depth, not in timing but in purpose, not in outward behavior but in inner transformation. This awakening never happens to just one person. The same force pulling you toward growth is pulling them too, though their version of it might look completely different from yours. While you're searching for clarity, they might be fighting it. While you're leaning into your intuition, they might be wrestling with theirs. While you're moving toward trust, they might be sinking further into fear. You're walking into your growth on purpose. They may be dragged into theirs, kicking and screaming. But either way, it's happening. Because destiny doesn't ask for permission. It moves both souls toward alignment, regardless of who's resisting. Even when someone tries to hide from it, what looks like distance from their side isn't peace, it's struggle. What reads as indifference isn't forgetting, it's avoidance. They've grown exhausted from pretending none of this affects them, tired of telling themselves the story that it was short-lived, or accidental, or just bad timing. Their ego has spun narrative after narrative to keep them feeling safe. It didn't mean anything. I'm fine without this. The timing was just off. I don't feel that way anymore. But the universe won't let a real soul connection stay buried under false stories forever. Destiny quietly removes every exit. It dismantles the distractions they've been hiding behind. It dissolves the comfort they once used to avoid the truth. It makes the silence louder. It makes the memories sharper. It turns the very things that used to soothe them into mirrors reflecting back exactly what they've been running from. That's why, even though they stay quiet on the outside, their inner world has never been noisier. They're confronted with thoughts they can't shut off, feelings they can't rationalize away, and a connection they simply can't manage or control anymore. The distance they created to feel safe has become the exact space where the truth echoes loudest. Their ego has always been their biggest defense. It's the part of them terrified of surrendering, terrified of vulnerability, terrified of the unknown. It's the part that's been burned before and refuses to walk into anything it can't predict or control. But soul connections were never built on predictability. They ask for honesty, and honesty terrifies the ego. So the ego throws up walls, and destiny slowly tears them back down. The universe is using this very silence to dismantle those walls, piece by piece, until they can no longer escape the way they used to. Here's the expanded version of that final section. The people who once comforted them now feel distant, almost like strangers offering words that used to land but now just slide past. The things that used to keep them occupied, work, friends, distractions, now feel hollow and pointless. Over and over, your memory surfaces uninvited, not as longing, but as recognition, not as a dream, but as something true they can no longer dismiss. The universe reaches them in ways they can't explain away. A dream that lingers into the morning, a song that plays at the exact moment your name crosses their mind, a sudden thought that hits with no warning, a shift in mood they can't source, a flash of clarity they can't shake off, no matter how hard they try to bury it in routine. They try clinging to logic, rehearsing all the reasons this shouldn't matter anymore, but their intuition keeps cutting through with your name again and again. This isn't obsession, it's alignment. Their soul already knows what their mind keeps resisting with everything it has. They're not quiet because they've forgotten you. They're quiet because they remember too much, because the memory has become louder than the silence around it. They're quiet because their ego is losing ground it once thought was solid. They're quiet because the feelings they tried to bury have grown roots too deep to rip out without tearing something open. Silence has become their battlefield, not their resting place, not a place of peace. This internal struggle, this dark night of the ego, is necessary, even though it looks like nothing from the outside. Without it, they'd come back exactly as they left, carrying the same fears dressed in new excuses. Without it, old habits would swallow them whole the moment things got difficult again. Without it, they'd return with the same walls, the same hesitation, the same instinct to run the second things felt too real. The universe is letting them come apart internally, quietly, privately, so that when they finally return, those walls are actually gone and not just hidden better. That's why you shouldn't mistake their silence for absence, for indifference, or for closure. It's preparation, plain and simple. This person is being unraveled from the inside out. Their fears are surfacing faster than they can suppress them. Their pride is being worn down piece by piece. Their old patterns, the ones that kept them safe but small, are being cleared out whether they like it or not. Destiny is refining them exactly as it's refining you. Not gently, not comfortably, but honestly. Because honesty is the only thing that actually builds something lasting. Both of you are standing at the edge of a shift right now. A moment where resistance starts to loosen its grip, where clarity begins to outweigh confusion, where fear starts losing the power it once had over every decision. This turning point isn't measured by how much time has passed since you last spoke. It's measured by readiness, by alignment, by whether the soul has actually caught up to what it already knew. They're inching closer to the moment where the pain of living without you finally outweighs the fear of coming back and facing what they ran from. When that moment lands, it won't be impulsive or fleeting, a passing whim brought on by a lonely night or a nostalgic memory. It will come from surrender, real surrender, the ego finally yielding to a truth it can no longer outrun or explain away. Their return won't be half-hearted or hedged with excuses. It will be the product of genuine inner change, an admission, a release of pride, an acknowledgement, spoken or unspoken, that they can no longer pretend the truth living inside them isn't there. A realization that the very connection they tried so hard to escape is the one they were always meant to walk back into. As this turning point draws nearer, the focus shifts back to you. Take a breath here. Let your soul speak without interruption from your fear or your doubt. What sign have you kept noticing about this person, over and over, in ways too consistent to be coincidence? A recurring dream that returns in the same shape. A sudden memory that arrives out of nowhere. A number that keeps appearing on clocks, receipts, license plates. A song playing at moments too perfectly timed to be random chance. A message from the world around you that you simply can't brush off, no matter how hard you try. These are not accidents scattered carelessly into your day. They are messages. They are alignment showing itself in the language it knows you'll understand. They are the universe steering you gently, patiently, toward clarity you've been circling for a long time. Whatever sign has stayed with you, stuck with you, refused to fade, trust it. Name it. Say it out loud if you need to hear it in your own voice. Signs rooted in peace come from destiny. Signs rooted in fear come from ego. Your intuition already knows which is which, even when your mind tries to argue the point. You're not imagining this bond. You're not clinging to an illusion built out of desperation. You're not hoping against reason or manufacturing meaning where there is none. What you feel is real, and that reality is stirring on both sides of this connection, whether or not you can see it happening. Feelings are resurfacing that neither of you can fully control. Clarity is forming where confusion used to live. Truth is rising to the surface, slow but unstoppable. And everything, every thread of it, is converging toward a single moment already written into place long before either of you understood what was happening. This turning point won't arrive as a vague hint you have to decode or a small crumb of hope you have to interpret through hours of overthinking. It will be direct, unmistakable, impossible to talk yourself out of. Destiny doesn't speak in riddles when the moment finally comes. It announces itself clearly, leaving no room for doubt or second-guessing. Their gesture, when it comes, won't be shallow or accidental or born out of convenience. It will come from a soul that has run out of road, run out of excuses, run out of ways to silence what was always meant for it. A soul that finally sees, without question, that walking away hurts more than surrendering to the truth ever could. What they do will carry humility, honesty, and openness, the very things they once feared most and hid behind walls to avoid. But divine timing doesn't show up the moment your heart is desperate for it, no matter how badly you want it to. It shows up when both of you are genuinely capable of holding what you once could only feel in fragments. The universe doesn't unite two wounded people still searching for healing inside each other. It unites two people who've grown enough to show up from wholeness instead of fear, from strength instead of need. That's why the pause mattered as much as it did. That's why the distance was allowed to stretch as long as it needed to. That's why you were guided, quietly and persistently, to focus on yourself rather than on them. Not to prepare for someone else's arrival, but to prepare for your own becoming. Your last step now, as this moment draws closer, is simply to get ready to receive. And readiness isn't about anxiously waiting by the door for someone's return, counting days, refreshing your phone. It's about matching that same energy of readiness within yourself. It's about clearing the inner space that love actually needs in order to enter fully. It's about releasing whatever fear, resentment, or doubt still lingers in the corners you haven't looked at yet, so that when it comes back, it finds you whole, not weakened, not waiting, not desperate. If they return and find you still gripped by the same fear, emptiness, or insecurity that once broke things apart, their own fears would spark right back up instantly, and the old cycle would simply repeat itself in a new disguise. The universe knows this already, which is exactly why your preparation has run so deep and taken so long. Real unions can't be built on unstable ground, no matter how strong the love underneath it feels. To truly open yourself to receiving, you have to first loosen your grip on how you think it should unfold. Don't script the moment in your head down to the last detail. Don't build